GM, GM. So I'm gonna go deep on dog coins because Doge. There's a fucking rocket being sent into space. Doge rocket, SpaceX. Right. SpaceX Falcon 9 rocket. Bro, I don't know what the fuck. Maybe it is my internet connection. That's fucking bullshit. So anyway, in January, there's a SpaceX rocket going up. And how I'm looking at it is Doge, Pepe, and Sheep as the dogs of choice, right? Um, for this, oh, and actually, sorry, we've got Bonk as well. How could I forget Bonk? So, starting with Bonk, most importantly, I think Bonk's running first. Well, it obviously is running first, right? And so Bonk keeps ripping. I'm currently long Bonk. Took some profit. Might not get a chance to get that back in, but still have quarter of a position running. And I think Bonk can go to 1 billion market cap, which would be about 15 cents or 1.5 cents, I should say, on this 1,000 Bonk contract. It's actually just grinding up here. It hasn't. There's no blow off top yet on Bonk. Now, this isn't really retail. Bonk's quite crypto native. It would probably need to get closer to 1 billion to start bringing normie retail in. And if they are getting a listing on Coinbase, that's it. That's it for Bonk. It will run super hard, and it might have a few days, of chopping upside, whatever, on Coinbase. But that'll mark the top most likely, right? Because the only thing that it had after a Binance listing was a Coinbase listing, and now it's getting it. Well, it seems like it's getting it. I saw some things on Twitter that they're testing wallets and stuff like that. Maybe. If it does, that's your most probable top, right? Then the rotation begins. When Bonk tops out, I think as well, I don't think you want to go into Shib, Pepe, Doge until Bonk does its thing. I think Bonk will steal, it will suck all the air out of the room initially. You probably want to wait until Bonk's volume is like one of the highest volumes on Bybit again. It's been down a bit, so that'll be interesting to see. And then you got Dogecoin, right? So Doge moving up, but consolidating. So Doge forming a large box here, I think, right? And if you put on your 50, it's on a daily, right? It's a daily box on the 50. So Doge can absolutely pull back or consolidate or chop around here for a few days. Let's imagine that Bonk does its thing and Doge goes sideways for a week. Then it's ready to rip. I don't think it goes straight from here. It's more in line with the the SpaceX launch, which is January. Again, though, the market's smart, right? So I don't necessarily expect that the market's going to wait until the launch to pump Doge. Smart money are going to pump Doge whenever retail are back. Bonk listing on Coinbase will bring some retail back. Bitcoin going another leg up will bring retail back. The closer we get to an ETF, retail will come back. As we go towards Christmas and everyone's spending time with their families, retail are back. So I think all of the major price appreciation happens this month, the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. I think it's December is going to be up, and January, I don't know. I have a suspicion that we've been going up now for, since towards the end of October. If we sustain this rally out to the end of December, I think that's it. And I think we go far higher than anyone expects. We make retail buy our bags fucking way higher. And then it gets brutal. Then we have 3 months of nothing. January, February, March, alts bleed. And it's shit, and it's brutal, and it's painful. And that's why it can go up so much in the next 2 weeks, 3 weeks. That's just my working theory. Of course, that doesn't mean it's going to happen. But the rotation then would be Pepe. So Pepe also doesn't have a Coinbase listing yet. So I think Bonk runs, gets listed on Coinbase. Then I think that capital rotates into Doge for the Doge rocket launch. Then Shib and Pepe. Shib's already on Coinbase. That's a benefit for it. So Shib might run straight after Bonk if Bonk does get listed on Binance. Or on Coinbase, sorry. Maybe. But in terms of the best rotation, Shib is old, Pepe is new. Pepe is more sexy, better meme, all of that. I think it comes later though. If we're thinking of the stages of retail, Bonk is like a crypto native thing with some retail. Getting on Coinbase will open up retail. That's why you want to get out of Bonk when it goes on Coinbase. Just think of the only people who know about Bonk that I know are crypto traders. None of my friends outside of crypto, none of my family know Bonk. They all know Doge, though. Everyone knows Dogecoin. So you have a slight informational edge. If you own Bonk at the moment, or you're long Bonk at the moment, you own it before the Coinbase real dumb money retail do. Now, will they actually come in and buy it? We don't know, but your bet is they will. Okay, cool. Let's say they do. Then you dump on them. You have to. Because then they come in and buy a bunch of this new dog, just like they bought a bunch of sheep, and you get out. That's the only logical way to play the trade. I see a lot of people talking about how Shib went to 40 billion, Doge went to 80 billion, Bonk can go to 10 billion. No, it can't. Not in my opinion. Certainly not in this rotation. It's at 500 million. If it gets to 1 billion, it'll be doing really well. If it gets to 1.5 billion or 2 billion, it'll be amazing. It's not going to 10 billion. It's just not. There's not enough time. Not in this rotation. It might do a Shib, where if you can see the old Shib chart, it starts too late. If we go to a deck screener chart and look at Shib, right? The old full chart, Bonk might do this, right? Where this is the first run here, wherever it ends up going to. Then it goes sideways for several months, and then it goes again. Maybe. And that was 40 billion for Shib. This was, I think, 10 billion or 15 billion. But Bonk is not Shib, right? Because by this time, like Bonk's going vertical, like it's around equivalent of here. Shib was already multi-billion by this point. Right, at that point, I think Shib was probably 4 billion, 5 billion. And it went to like 15, 20, then back down, then 40. So Bonk is just behind it. It's not going to go that far, but that's fine. Doesn't need to. You're trading price change. You're not trading price. Don't hang on to Bonk expecting 40 billion. Pepe is a much better meme than Bonk, and Pepe went to 1 billion in its first run, and then it stopped. Now, here's where it's interesting. Pepe has far more potential than any of these. So let me get the full chart. Right? So if you imagine that SHIB chart where it did its first crazy run and then settled off into a bear market bottom, that's Pepe now, right? Pepe is the one that actually can go to a new all-time high vertically. And that might, by the way, that might well be Pepe done. Doesn't matter if it's early cycle. You might not get another move on Pepe. That might be the big one, right? And then it comes back down, and then it goes again whenever the final bull market run is, but it doesn't reach the highs. Like Filecoin. This was Filecoin in March and April 2021, went to $230. This is Filecoin in September 2021 when the big move happened across the market. That one ended up only going to like $50. I can't see it there because I don't have the thing on, but right. First pump was crazy. Second pump, measly. And that was why the whole market was going mental, right? So Pepe is not like Pepe is super, 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 super crowded. It will be super crowded because everyone's betting on it to be the meme of this cycle. And it's had a great run. And I think people are actually underexposed to Pepe here. And I think if we have an insane run into Q1 on Pepe, and everyone then's like, oh, Pepe went whatever, like 5 billion, and they all buy the dip. And I don't think it pulls back all the way, but let's imagine it goes just straight up, back down, right? And then everyone wants to get into this and it just never makes a new high. I think the run to catch on Pepe is going to be this one. And if it's not, take it as a regular trade and you'll be fine, right? So let's imagine that doesn't happen. Pepe doesn't work like that. Well, what's it going to do? Well, it's going to come up here. It's going to fail. It's going to come all the way back down. And it's going to go sideways for many, many more months. And guess what? Then when it eventually does go, whenever the next whatever hype period is, it's just going to fucking roof. Just like Doge did, just like SHIB did. So you've got two stabs at Pepe. I think one of them is coming up soon. And if that fails, many months down the line. Yeah? So with all that being said, I think we don't seem to be near a top yet because we're not seeing much of this exuberance. Now, the last thing I have to say, though, is we might not ever get that. What I mean by that is there is an assumption that we're all making that retail will come back in. There is a chance they don't. However, I think that's highly unlikely because they always come back. And people are very predictable, especially dumb money. They always come back. So I'm not so worried about that. But it is, of course, a possibility that ETF is not as big as people expect. There's not much hype, blah, 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 whatever. I just don't really buy any of that. I think this is going to cause massive FOMO for Bitcoin, and it's going to bleed down through the ecosystem as it always does. So that's it, GM. See you all later. Live stream 5 and 7.